Want to talk today about the Tascam DR10L Pro. We've been using Tascam products for a long time. Our very first recorders were the original Tascam DR10L. These were great, but then the world of 32-bit float came out. We invested in the Zoom F6 recorder, which is a 6-port XLR recorder that we plug into DJs and other sources. We use it for podcast stuff as well. And 32-bit float in general just kind of changed the game. If you're not familiar with 32-bit float, basically think of it like raw audio as compared to like raw video or raw photos. It gives you maximum dynamic range, gives you the ability to pull things down that probably in the old days would have been peaking, or to raise things up and not have a lot of noise in the background. It's just really a game changer and made the world of video and audio so much better for those of us who have to kind of be the one shop that does it all. I then invested in the Zoom F2 Bluetooth versions because they were one of the first little portable compact audio recorders like we use in the wedding world. I bought 2 of these and they have worked really well, but there were some things about them that I didn't really like. One of them was that they're really fragile. So these little battery doors are super thin. They don't really lock very well. I'm notorious for these things dropping. Part of it is it's like you're pulling them out of a groom's pocket and the day is in a flurry and it drops. In almost all of these venues, it seems like these days have a concrete floor or a very hard surface floor. I've broken one of them. This is a replacement, and I don't know if you can tell, but this one even has gaff tape on it now because I've dropped it as well. And so they just felt really fragile. The second thing is that while they were easy to turn on, hit record, switch over to the lock function, it was also really easy for a groom or an officiant to feel like, oh my gosh, I got to run to the bathroom right before the ceremony. I'll just turn this thing off, go into the bathroom, come back on, and not really know how to turn it back on. They think if they switch it to the on position or down to the lock position, they're good to go. They don't know you have to hit record, look for the lights, all those things. So it's just too easy for people to turn it off. And I did have that happen a couple of times. That's frustrating when you are like dependent upon this. The other problem I had was with Zoom's app that they use to be able to see this remotely, because what I thought would be great would be able to remotely monitor these. It's like if the groom turned it on, but he forgot to hit record, I could just pull it up on my phone before the ceremony started and check and make sure it was recording. But the problem was when you have multiples of these, Zoom didn't have an easy way to connect multiple of these to their phone app. And I could never figure out how to do both of them. And you never knew which one you were connecting to because they had the exact same names. It just didn't seem to work really well. It was like it wasn't well thought out, or that it was planned for just like one device, but not really multiples. Bring along the Tascam DR10L Pro that came out after the Zoom recorder, and a lot of these things improved. It had more of the rugged design, and you can compare the two here. I'll let you see. They are different sizes. The DR10L is a little thicker, but a little shorter. The buttons are in little different places, but the main functionality is exactly the same. You've got that traditional switch that the old Tascam had, which is, unless you really know what you're doing, it's really hard for anybody to figure out how to stop it or start it or turn it off or do anything crazy. You got to really know how to work the switch. And if you've worked with one of these, you know. It also had a much more just rugged design. Like this thing is just, it's just stouter, it's heavier, it's thicker. Yes, it's still made of plastic, but it's just more rugged. They both come with the clips and all the same stuff. I did buy the Bluetooth module that goes in here, and if you're trying to figure out, if you buy this, it comes, they don't really give you good directions. If you're trying to figure out how to put this on, the edge of this little flap where the Bluetooth module goes in does pop up. You feel like you're breaking something, but you're not. It actually does pop up like this. Then you just push the Bluetooth module in there and snap that little trim ring back down. There's a dummy blank thing in there that comes right out. And that gives you Bluetooth ability. You do have to turn it on in the menu settings. You have to enable Bluetooth. But once you do, you really get a nice ability to control the devices. You get basically the ability to have device on here. You have a record, stop, and start. You can connect to multiple devices. When you go back to your device list, you can see and it's connecting to this one because I had it turned off, but you can see multiple devices. You can color code them. You can see the audio moving in the waveform. You can't really remotely monitor while it's recording, but you can start, stop, lock it, all of those things from the app, which I think is really cool. They've thought this through pretty well. Their app is far better than the Zoom app. When it comes to battery life, I think they're really comparable. There's not much difference in, the basics of how they function. AAA's, two AAA's, it seems to last anywhere from, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours. I don't really worry about it because in my world, I'm going to change these before every wedding anyway. So that's not a deal killer for me. There is some weird stuff with how this saves the date. You do some research on it, you'll see it. There's also a firmware update that helped kind of that date function. There's an internal lithium ion battery that you need to charge with the USB-C. You plug it in for a couple of hours and it's supposed to last a really long time then, but there was a firmware issue when these originally came out. I just updated to firmware 1.02, I think it was. Very easy update, and that's supposed to have fixed it. So far I haven't had that issue again. So if you buy these, do the firmware update, plug in the USB to any kind of a USB-C source, and it'll charge that internal lithium battery that holds the date. That's one of the kind of weird things that didn't really know about until I figured it out. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. It comes with the same microphones and stuff that we've always gotten with the little metal clip. These are much better mics than what come with the Zoom recorders. The Zoom recorders came with a plastic clip, kind of a bigger plastic microphone. Just wasn't as sturdy. Seemed kind of cheap. That was one thing as well. Overall, though, I've been super happy with these. 32-bit float works exactly as you would expect. Highly recommend it. I'm going to put a link in the description if you're interested in these. If you have questions about anything with these, just leave me a comment and I'll try to answer it for you. Been real happy with them. It's a recommend.